Hi everyone, Mark Duda from 3D Avenue here. Today I have Emily Temple with me, director at ET Planning Consultancy, and we're going to see how Emily and her company has obtained planning permission for 70-bed hotel using 3D visualization. Emily, could you please briefly introduce yourself and your business?
Indeed. Hello, Mark, and hello, everybody. I set up ET Planning in 2017. We've been running for 4 years now, and we've grown as a company from just myself to 15 professional staff in that period of time. Prior to that, I worked in a national consultancy for 5 years, and prior to that, I did 7 years working in local authority. So quite a bit of planning experience.
Yeah.
Our clients range from a mix of homeowners, individual landowners, as well as local businesses, investors, and developers.
So what type of developments you help with at ET Planning?
So a whole range of residential and commercial, including mixed-use developments. And certainly the project that you assisted us on was a commercial application at Nirvana Spa in Sindlesham, Wokingham.
And what makes you unique?
I think it's our approach to application developments in terms of all different types of clients can be, all different types of clients are important to us, from the individual homeowners and landowners. We like to work with a range of different people on different projects. Particularly what we do is take assistance with clients that have enforcement trouble or require viability advice as well. We assist with those aspects and connect people to the right consultants that they would need.
What project do you consider your flag project that you're most proud of?
That's a really good question, and I think across my career there's been a whole host. So I've been responsible for projects such as Nirvana Spa, this hotel development and previous extensions at that location. I've also been involved in quite large extension proposals at Farnborough College of Technology, as well with other education projects in and around the southeast of England. So those would be the larger projects, alongside some quite controversial enforcement cases and residential proposals of all different shapes and sizes as well.
You mentioned a little bit about what you were doing before starting ET Planning. Can you tell us a little bit more about that, what you were doing before?
So before ET Planning, I was a consultant in a national planning consultancy that primarily focused around residential development, but it was also there that I started doing projects that were more education and commercial related. Ultimately, it's through doing consultancy that I started to build the client base and the network that I now have, and which we've been able to assist in growing the company of ET Planning. Before doing consultancy, working in local authority, you're obviously learning a lot about the planning system as a whole and how to process planning applications, and that certainly results in an advantage now in terms of being able to advise clients on the process and the procedure for applications as they go through the council system.
So you basically worked on both sides of the process. What would you say are sources of the frustration, in your line of work now?
I think COVID has had a big impact over the last couple of years, particularly on local authority, officer numbers, timescales, workloads, things like that. So I would say the biggest pressures right now do relate to timescales for developments and getting that through the planning system. I have witnessed a number of different councils are behind on their statutory targets. It seems to be systemic across the country, really. But that's been a big challenge to proposals coming forward. And obviously just generally companies and developers trying to recover out of the COVID period.
Would you say it's more busy now with the new developers?
Indeed, yes. Everything has certainly picked up over the last sort of 6 months or so. And certainly I'm seeing an increase in the number of residential proposals that we get. I think a lot of people have been stuck at home and want to expand and extend their properties, or look to capitalise, on the land which they hold and make best value out of.
Do you remember how you found our services, our company?
I do, Mark. We met at a networking meeting, which is something that I like to do. And certainly as COVID lockdown lifts and we're able to go back out to doing networking events, that's something that I'm keen to start back up again. I've often spoken at property meetings about the planning system and about the implication for developers looking to take on sites and what the opportunities are for development. And I remember meeting you at one of those events and recognizing that your 3D visualization skills could actually come in quite handy for a large number of our applications.
So what motivated you to give us a job for this project?
So particularly for Nirvana Spa, it's a very well-known public building. It draws a lot of attention in a wider area. It's got a very large catchment area for the number of people that like to go and visit it. And being a major scale planning application, the system at Wokingham Council, the scheme of delegation, means that major applications get determined at planning committee. So it's quite important for the committee members to be able to visualise the application development, for them to understand the scale of the proposals and particularly how the development will fit in with the remainder of the spa building that already exists. So to see how the development would integrate in the wider site. And certainly when you're at a public committee meeting, I think having those 3D visualizations does help councillors and make it very clear what the proposal is to help them understand.
Do you remember this particular meeting with planning committee? What was their reaction and comments on the planning scheme?
I do, yes. I mean, the proposal was granted at planning committee, which was obviously welcomed and received. There were a number of queries that were raised, particularly, parking and transport is always a sensitive issue, and going through the information that we had provided with the application and making sure that there were conditions to control the construction traffic management stage of the development, as well as the ongoing proposal. But yeah, it was a positive meeting and obviously a positive outcome as well.
What do you think could have happened if you didn't manage to get the visuals in a professional way?
I mean, in those instances, you're relying a bit more on the 2D plans from an architect to portray the application. And then that, to a certain extent, depends on the architect and whether the plans are in colour or black and white. So it requires just a bit more interpretation of those drawings. So instead of the visualizations being able to go up on a screen at a committee meeting alongside the plans, you're effectively just left with the plans as they're prepared. So it does put more emphasis or onus, I suppose, on the quality of the plans that are submitted.
So do you like our results and what we offer?
Indeed. I mean, your timescale for turnaround was very fast and efficient, and you responded to the client's sort of queries and comments. And actually, what was quite helpful to the client was being able to see the 3D visualizations. They themselves, I think, requested some changes to the appearance of the building because they were able to see the scale and how the materials worked and what the visual appearance was. It's much easier to interpret that than from a 2D drawing. So it was a very good opportunity for the client to actually have involvement in the application preparation process in helping to direct the design as we went through.
Would you recommend us to other?
Of course.
Sorry. Yes. So what would you say would be the ideal clients that you would recommend us to?
I think it's where a project might be either doing something that is perhaps not quite a replica of anything else in the immediate area. If you're doing a development that's particularly contemporary, say, or just different to what's around it, it can certainly help to show the setting of that building, you know, in its new form, proposed form. So I think that can be really helpful. In other instances, it's just about larger scale developments. They're the ones that can often be more controversial. They take up a large amount of space on a site. And again, it's showing how that integrates with the remainder of the locality around it.
Mm-hmm. What is coming up next in your business?
So at the moment, we are positively expanding the company, which is really exciting to see. We're expanding more into undertaking viability work for looking at affordable housing contributions. We're looking at SIL work in terms of appraisals and assessments on the SIL charges that various councils levy to us. And alongside that, we are noticing, as we come out of COVID, an uptick in enforcement and planning work. So again, we're just enhancing our resources behind those two areas of the business to make sure that we can cater to as many clients as possible and efficiently.
So you will be growing your team even more?
We're looking to, yes. We have some appointments for other staff to come on later on in the year in 2021, which is quite exciting for us, and just sort of trying to have a projection going forward as to what the work might look like and making sure that we can resource all of that.
Mm-hmm. What is your number one piece of advice for developers who are trying to improve their business or are just starting?
I think it's making sure that you have the right network around you, a sort of a core team of professionals that you trust the advice. You know, certainly in terms of buying sites, you want to make sure that they've been fully appraised, that there's potential there, that there's no, you know, background enforcement history that could cause a problem to developing a site in the future. But in terms of bringing a site actually forward, it's taking the right professional advice and having a core team of professionals around you for all the different aspects. You know, planning is just one of many aspects that you need to bring a proposal forward. So it's just making sure you have that core team of people.
Where can people find out more about you and ET Planning Consultancy online?
So our website address is www.etplanning.co.uk. That would be the best place to start. And myself and all of my staff are also on LinkedIn as well. We have a LinkedIn page for the company. So that would be a really good place to start.
All right. Yeah. Thank you very much, Emily, for the lovely interview. And bye, everyone.
Fantastic. Thank you very much. Bye-bye.